The Sultan's messengers find him in the mountain pass, where the Carpathian wind cuts through wool and leather like a blade. They have traveled 3 weeks from Constantinople, carrying silk robes and gold coin, tribute for an ally. They do not remove their turbans in his presence. It is a test, a small defiance. They want to see what the Wallachian prince will do about it. Vlad III Dracula, son of the dragon, voivode of Wallachia, looks at the turbans. Then he looks at his guards. What happens next will become the foundation of a legend so dark that 5 centuries of horror novels, Hollywood films, and internet folklore still haven't captured the full brutality of the real man. He orders the turbans nailed to the messengers' heads, not metaphorically, small iron nails, through silk, through scalp, through skull. The men who survive the journey back to Constantinople will carry Vlad's answer in their foreheads. Wallachia bows to no one. This is not the Dracula you know. This is worse. Dragon's Son. In 1431, in the Transylvanian city of Sighișoara, a boy is born into a world that is already burning. His father, Vlad II, has just been inducted into the Order of the Dragon, a secretive Christian military society sworn to defend Christendom against the Ottoman Empire. The order's emblem, a dragon coiled around a cross, becomes the family crest. Vlad II becomes known as Vlad Dracula, Vlad the Dragon. His son becomes Dracula, son of the dragon. But the Order of the Dragon is not the only thing shaping this child. In 1442, when Vlad is 11 years old, his father makes a political decision that will define the boy's life. To secure an alliance with the Ottoman Sultan Murad II, Vlad Dracula sends 2 of his sons as hostages to the Ottoman court. One of them is young Vlad. For 6 years, from age 11 to 17, Vlad Dracula lives in the Ottoman Empire as a prisoner guest. He learns Turkish. He learns the brutal intricacies of Ottoman politics. He watches men executed for reasons he does not understand. He watches his own guards bow to a sultan who could order their deaths on a whim. He learns in the most visceral way possible that power is not about being loved. It is about being feared so completely that no one dares test you. The boy who enters the Ottoman court is a nobleman's son. The young man who leaves in 1448 is something else entirely. Lesson of the Forest. While Vlad is in Ottoman captivity, his world collapses. His father is murdered. His older brother Mircea is captured by political rivals in Wallachia, tortured and buried alive. Vlad Dracula's head is sent to the Sultan as a trophy. When Vlad finally returns to Wallachia in 1448, at age 17, he claims his father's throne. He holds it for 2 months before being driven out by a rival. He spends the next 8 years in exile, in Moldavia, in Transylvania, in Hungary, watching, waiting, learning. These are the years that make him, not the training, not the captivity, the exile, the long cold years of watching everything his father built get dismantled by men who believed the Dracula bloodline was finished. Vlad studies them. He memorizes their names, their alliances, their weaknesses. He builds relationships with Hungarian nobles who will later back his return. He learns that patience is a weapon and that revenge is best served not hot, but at precisely the right temperature to cause maximum structural damage. In 1456, at age 25, Vlad Dracula returns to Wallachia a 3rd time. This time, he does not intend to leave. Easter Invitation, Spring, 1457. Vlad has been on the throne for less than a year. The Boyars, the noble class of Wallachia, have spent decades treating the throne as a revolving door, installing and removing voivodes at their convenience. They killed his father, they killed his brother. They assume Vlad will be grateful for their support and govern with their permission. They are catastrophically wrong. Vlad invites the Boyars and their families to an Easter feast at his castle in Târgoviște. It is a celebration of his rule, a gesture of unity. The noble families arrive in their finest clothes, 200 Boyars, their wives, their children. The hall is decorated, the wine flows. After the meal, Vlad rises. He asks the assembled nobles a simple question. How many princes have you known in your lifetimes? The Boyars, confused, begin to answer. Some have served 7 voivodes, some 10. Some have served so many they cannot count. Each change of power made them richer. Each dead prince made them safer. Vlad listens to every answer. Then he gives the order. His guards surround the hall. The old and infirm among the boyars, those too weak to work, are impaled on stakes driven through the body, hoisted upright and left to die slowly outside the castle walls. The rest, the able-bodied, are marched 50 miles through the mountains to the ruins of Poenari Castle. There, Vlad orders them to rebuild the fortress that will become his primary stronghold. They work for months. Nobles who have never held a tool in their lives carry stones up a mountain. Their clothes rot. Their hands bleed. Their families watch from the valley below, where Vlad has arranged a camp for the wives and children. The message is clear: work or they die first. When Poenari is finished, those who survived are impaled anyway. This is not cruelty for its own sake. This is systemic restructuring. Vlad has eliminated the entire boyar class in a single night and replaced them with men loyal only to him. He has taken a state that was essentially feudal anarchy and turned it into an absolute monarchy overnight through one of the most ruthlessly efficient purges in European history. Forest of the Dead in 1462, Sultan Mehmed II, the conqueror of Constantinople, the man who brought the Roman Empire to its final end, decides that Vlad Dracula has been a problem long enough. He assembles an invasion force of over 100,000 men. It is the largest army in Europe at the time. Wallachia's entire military is perhaps 30,000, and most of those are peasant levies with wooden spears. The Sultan expects a quick campaign. He is the man who broke the walls of Constantinople. What is one Wallachian prince against the might of the Ottoman Empire? What the Sultan does not expect is to wake up one morning in mid-campaign and find his army walking through a forest of the dead. 20,000 impaled corpses, Turkish prisoners and Wallachian criminals arranged in concentric semicircles outside the city of Târgoviște, stretching for over a mile. Men, women, and children impaled on sharpened stakes driven through the body, positioned so that the dying weight pulls them slowly downward, prolonging death for hours or sometimes days. The stakes are arranged by rank. The highest Turkish officers on the tallest stakes, their turbans still on their heads, mocking them even in death. The Ottoman chroniclers, men who had documented the sack of Constantinople without flinching, cannot bring themselves to describe what they see in detail. One writes simply, "The Sultan, being a merciful man, could not bear to look. Mehmed II, the most powerful ruler in the Western world, turns his army around and leaves Wallachia. He does not return. Vlad has won, not through superior numbers, not through superior weapons, through psychological warfare so extreme that it broke the will of the man who broke Constantinople." Tactics. But the Forest of the Impaled was not Vlad's only tactic. It was the finale of a campaign that deserves to be studied as one of the most effective guerrilla wars ever fought. When Mehmed's army entered Wallachia, Vlad did not meet it in open battle. He retreated. He burned his own villages. He poisoned the wells. He salted the fields. He sent men infected with bubonic plague into the Ottoman camps disguised as merchants. He launched night attacks, the famous night battles that gave his men cover and denied the Ottomans their numerical advantage. In one engagement, Vlad personally led a cavalry charge into the Sultan's camp, aiming to assassinate Mehmed in his tent. He killed the wrong man, a vizier sleeping in the Sultan's quarters, but the psychological impact was enormous. The Sultan was not safe in his own bed. This was Vlad's genius. He understood that he could never defeat the Ottoman Empire in a conventional war, but he could make the cost of occupying Wallachia higher than the empire was willing to pay. He weaponized terror not as sadism, but as asymmetric warfare. Every Ottoman soldier who entered Wallachia knew that capture meant a fate worse than death. Desertion rates spiked, morale collapsed. The Sultan's own generals began advising him to withdraw. This is the version of Vlad that military historians study, a commander who understood that war is fought in the mind before it is fought on the battlefield. Marnstani Tucker's fall. But Vlad's methods had a cost beyond Ottoman casualties. His own neighbors, the Saxon merchants of Transylvania, the Hungarian nobility, had been subjected to his justice for years. Vlad impaled Saxon traders who cheated Wallachian peasants. He impaled beggars and criminals. He impaled the unfaithful. He once had a mistress's breast cut off for claiming she was pregnant when she was not, then had her impaled. The stories grew. The Saxon cities printed pamphlets, the first bestsellers in European publishing, thanks to the new printing press, depicting Vlad as a monster. The forest of the Impaled became a woodcut, reproduced thousands of times, distributed across Europe. Bram Stoker would draw on these pamphlets 4 centuries later. In 1462, the Hungarian king Matthias Corvinus, nominally Vlad's ally, arrested him. The charges were conveniently vague. Vlad spent 12 years in Hungarian captivity. The official story promoted by Matthias was that Vlad had betrayed Christendom and sided with the Ottomans. This was a lie. Matthias had diverted crusade funds for his own use and needed a scapegoat. Vlad was perfect. In captivity, Vlad did what he had always done. He waited. He converted to Catholicism, a political move to gain favor. He married into the Hungarian royal family. He played chess with his guards and studied the same patience that had sustained him through exile decades earlier. When he was finally released in 1474, he reclaimed the Wallachian throne one last time. He ruled for less than 2 months before being killed in battle against the Ottomans in December 1476 or January 1477. The records are unclear. His body was reportedly decapitated. His head was sent to the Sultan, preserved in honey, and displayed on a stake in Constantinople. The dragon's son had become a trophy, just like his father before him. Legend versus the man. Here is what you need to know about Vlad the Impaler. Almost everything you have heard about him is wrong. He did not drink blood. That was invented by Bram Stoker in 1897, 4 centuries after Vlad's death. Stoker found the name Dracula in a book about Wallachian history and liked the sound of it. The vampire lore was attached to Vlad, not inherited from him. He was not uniquely cruel by the standards of his time. His contemporary Stephen the Great of Moldavia impaled thousands and was canonized as a saint by the Orthodox Church. The difference is that Vlad's enemies owned printing presses. The first smear campaign in mass media history was directed at Vlad Dracula, and it worked so well we are still living inside it. He was not, however, a hero. The Romanian nationalist rehabilitation of Vlad, casting him as a stern but just ruler who only punished the guilty, is also not supported by the evidence. He impaled women and children. He used terror as a governing philosophy, not just a military tactic. He was a product of a brutal time who chose to be more brutal than his circumstances required. What he actually was is more interesting than either the monster or the hero narrative. He was a tactical genius who used psychology as a weapon. He was a survivor who clawed his way back from captive to exile to voivode and back again after 12 years in chains. He was a man who looked at the Ottoman Empire, the most powerful military force in the Western world, and decided that one small principality could hold it off through sheer applied terror. And he was right. The ruins of Pănări Castle still stand in the Carpathian Mountains. You can visit them today. You climb 1,280 steps to reach the top. The forest around it is quiet. The wind is the same wind Vlad felt. And somewhere in the stone, if you listen carefully, you can hear the lesson he spent his entire life teaching. That fear is the only currency that never loses its value, and that the man who understands this can move armies without lifting a sword.